Now, I just read an article, and if I can get the link, I'll provide it for you guys. I just read an article. And apparently there's more than just one article about this. But this article, basically when you read it, it's a long article, believe me. But this article basically, the person behind this article tries to basically looks at the comparison of WCW in 2001 to where TNA is right now. Now, there's a lot of people that when you read this article, and I've probably read this article, will agree with some of the similarities of comparisons between both companies. You see, back in '99 and into 2001, and towards the end of 1998, WCW, you could tell, was going through a transition. You could see that. They were going through a huge transition. And I'm not talking about talent leaving. They had plenty of talent at the time. But they were going through a transition because of the fact that they were feeling the effects of WWE starting to take control of the Monday Night War. They started to feel the effects of WWE, starting to win the ratings war, starting to run away with the viewership. So, you have that happening. So what does WCW do? They notice that they're getting the butts handed to them towards the end of '98 and slowly more so in '99. So what do they decide to do? They start to decide they need to transition. Now, true, at the beginning of '99, it didn't really help that they did the whole finger poke of doom. But they felt, maybe if you look at it from that standpoint, that whoever was booking at the time probably felt that that was going to be the best way to get people's attention. Little did they know, it backfired on them. But that's not all. Not only do you attempt to reform the NWO to recreate interest in the product, and recreate interest in probably the most revolutionary faction in recent history at that time, but you try to recreate interest and try to regain ground. Now, true, you do kind of regain that with certain episodes. You do. With certain episodes, and they do that at times. But some of those episodes in which they won the ratings were few and in between. Were very fleeting and very few and in between. So what do they do around '99? Well, they start acquiring some other talent. For example, if you're an ECW diehard, one of the biggest acquisitions they had in 1999 was the Sandman, which they had redubbed Hack. Of course, his stay didn't last that very long, and by the time 1999 ended, he was already back in ECW. Even though they tried to package him as being similar to what he was in ECW, but more under their vision. But again, by the time '99 came around, or '99 ended, by the time it ended, he was already back in ECW. And again, you sort of had a, when you take a look at it, it was sort of a transitional period for them. Because one, you tried to push the NWO again as a threat, and thus make them not just one big entity, but two subdivisions as well. In other words, you had the NWO Elite, which was the Wolfpack, red and black. And you had the NWO B team, which was the black and the white. But together they were but together they tried to make them a force again. And what happened? What happened? You tried everything to make them a force again. You tried everything to make them the top heel faction again. Try to make them revolutionary again. And it backfires in your face because come uncensored 1999, what happens? Things change. And why do they change? Either because of the fans making it happen? No. It's because WCW realized who are the fans going to support more? Well, what are the fans going to be more interested in? Huh? Are they going to be interested in two heel factions, if you will, or two heel personas going at it with a power struggle? Who would they be behind more when it comes to that? Would they be behind Flair or Hogan? Come 99, you're in such a situation, you're like, you know what? Let's just book Hogan to go face. Turn him face during the match, and then turn Flair heel. Why? Because you're going through a transition because of the fact that you're getting your butts now handed to you by the WWE. And why are you getting your butts kicked? Because you're doing things, because you're going through a transition, because you're trying to rebuild, you're trying to refocus things. And you don't even know what the heck you're doing. You're so consumed with trying to get it back to the way it was at that time that you, WCW, end up having to go back to a formula which you had back in 1994, and that's making Hogan face, Flair heel. And then speaking of Hogan, what do you do with him? Yeah, you put him back in the red and the yellow. Everybody's happy about that. Everybody's happy he's back in the red and the yellow. But then what do you do to make sure he stays the babyface? You take your most iconic babyface and you turn him heel. You take your most loyal and iconic babyface in Sting and you turn him heel. How did that help? How did that work out? It didn't. It didn't work out. It didn't help. It didn't even last. And then what happens? Come 2000, you try to reboot the company again to try to regain some ground. You try to reboot the company now that you have Vince Russo on your side and Ed Ferrara on your side. You try to reboot the company in 2000 by starting this whole new storyline of new young up-and-comers like the New Blood, which you dubbed the New Blood, going up against the veterans, the established stars, the Millionaires Club, and the Allies. And yeah, that looked promising and stuff, there's no doubt about it. But what happens in the end? It backfires on you because apparently you seem to forget during this whole transition that there are certain members in that Millionaires Club that have rights, that have certain privileges written into the contracts that you yourselves at WCW had written into the contracts. Or allowed them to write in. They had privileges. That is why your whole concept of let's push the new guys as best as we can in this whole storyline of New Blood versus Millionaires Club, that's why it backfired. And again, just like you did the year before, you take an established babyface in Goldberg, you bring him back at the Great American Bash. What do? You turn him heel. How does that go over? It doesn't. It doesn't go over because people didn't want to boo him. And it's all because you were going through this transitional period, and then not just that, and just not the fact that you were going through this transitional period, you were also going through a situation where your company was either going to stay on television or it was not going to stay on television, it was going to stay in business or it was not going to stay in business. You're going through that situation. And then come Bash at the Beach, what do? You have the big angle all planned out that's supposed to go all the way through Halloween Havoc. What happens? What happens? You have one of your head guys, Vince Russo, say, screw that crap, I'm going to do it my way. Yeah, you have Vince Russo basically saying, screw it, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to put Booker and Jeff in the match. So basically you have all this confusion and stuff going on. And then as you get to 1999, you get to 2001, pretty much the writing is on the wall that you are done for. And why is the writing on the wall? Why is it on the wall, folks? I'll tell you why. Because from 99, because you have two major talents in 99 leave for WWE. You have Big Show leave. You have Big Show who gets basically let go in January, and the following month shows up in WWE. You have Chris Jericho, who does stick out his contract, but then shows up a little afterwards, about a month or two later in WWE. And then the coup de grace, if you will, is you lose some potential stars, people you have put your U.S. title, television title, cruiserweight titles, and even your world heavyweight title. You have them leaving because they don't like what's going on and showing up in WWE almost a few weeks later. It's like, what more do you need to know? And what more evidence do you need, right? What more evidence do you need? The point is, the reason I bring this all up and the reason this guy brings up similarities as well to it in his article is the fact that there are similarities. That you get almost, it's almost like you're watching history repeat itself. It's like you're watching history repeat itself. I mean, think about this. TNA, is going through a transition to where that transition is either going to cause them to go out of business, or it's going to cause them to finally get back up on their feet. And right now, even though the UK success, even though they're having financial success from what I can understand in the UK, and as I mentioned before, even though they got back in the impact zone, which is a good thing, hopefully, the fact is they're going through a transitional period which is, right now it's very similar to WCW. I mean, take a look at what's going on. Okay, star-wise, major star-wise, you have lost Hogan and Bischoff. Okay, Hogan, no big deal. That's pretty much a big old paycheck you don't have to worry about anymore. That's basically a big old paycheck you don't have to worry about writing anymore. Sting, probably the same thing. Alright? Like I said, Sting, probably the same thing. Jeff Hardy, who knows? Jeff Jarrett, your own founder though, gone. Going to start up his own promotion now. And why? Because of the similarities between what's going on in what happened in WCW and what's happening here. Your Knockouts division. TNA's Knockouts division used to be great. In fact, one of the biggest signees they ever had for the Knockouts division, two of the biggest signees that really helped it out a little bit, was Mickie James and Victoria. And what's happened? Those two are gone. And probably on the damn verge of going back to WWE. I mean, and the Motor City Machine Guns. Alex Shelley, gone from TNA, is part of New Japan Pro Wrestling, part of a tag team there now. And why? Because you guys can't do any, it's because of the similarities people look at between both WCW and TNA. And then the biggest knock of all, you lose AJ Styles. Now, depending on whether or not people still look at it as a work or a shoot, doesn't matter. If it's a shoot, flat out, why would you lose this guy? This guy's the face of your company. He is basically the sting of your company. He's the stinger of your company, and yet you let him go. And again, that's why people point, and again, with something like that, that's why people look at similarities. They look at the similarities between 2001 WCW and similarities to TNA now. Or WCW in the past few years, and TNA in the last few years, I should say, and TNA in the past few years now. That's why they see these similarities. And why do they see these similarities? Because of the fact that whoever is booking TNA, whoever financially handling TNA, is not doing things correctly, and basically with the way things are being booked, have been handled booking wise and handled financially, TNA is on the verge of being of repeating history, of becoming WCW 2001 all over again. That's what they're on the verge of doing, folks. That's what they're on the verge of doing. And they obviously don't see it. And any TNA fanboys or fangirls out there, you obviously don't see it. Because take a look at the other names that could be on the chopping block. Bad Influence. Bad Influence. A tag team. A tag team that people are behind. People enjoy. Bad Influence. You could be losing them. And what happens if Bad Influence leaves? All of a sudden they show up in WWE as a tag team. What are you going to do then? You're on the verge of possibly losing the one guy, the one major star that actually supports the way things are in TNA. Not supports the way things are, but you're bound to lose the one guy. The one guy. Again, like I'm saying, you're bound to lose the one guy that, even though he's a former major WWE star, 6-time champion in the WWE, you're bound to lose him, even after you probably put him in the Hall of Fame, your Hall of Fame. You're bound to lose him because of what's going on behind the scenes in TNA. And that's Kurt Angle. Do you seriously want to lose Kurt Angle and see him back in WWE? Hell no, you don't. But guess what? It's going to happen. If TNA doesn't get their act together. And, the thing is, TNA needs to wake up and realize that if they don't get their act together, the similarities between them in the past few years and in the last few years of WCW are going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. People are going to start talking more about other similarities and resemblances. And you know what's going to happen? In the end, TNA is going to end up it's going to end up in the same way WCW did, out of business or being bought out by a competitor, whether it's Gabe Kapolsky in Ring of Honor, or it's Vince McMahon in WWE, or heck, even Jeff Jarrett with his new promotion. It's going to happen if TNA doesn't wake up. Honestly, TNA, Dixie, you want these similarities to leave? You want these comparisons, these resemblances between both the last few years of WCW and the past few years of TNA to come to an end? Wake up! Okay? Wake up! Because one, you are not wake up! I was just looking at something outside, folks, but wake up, Dixie. Wake up, TNA. Alright? Wake up. Jeff Siegel talked about this in his review of Impact this past week. And the thing is, one of the things you need to change is stop doing the damn power struggle storylines. You need to stop doing those. This is why people compare you to WCW. Because you're doing the same things they did. I don't know who's in charge of story creativity there. But if they think, oh, well, the Power Struggle storylines in WCW made them red hot, it's going to make us red hot. Bull crap. Bull crap. BC. Bull crap. The fact is, TNA, TNA fanboys, TNA fangirls, and all wrestling fans in general, you want these comparisons to end? You want these similarities to end? You want this resembling to end? TNA, get your act together. Because people like this Andrew person, not my nephew, but this other Andrew person at this website, and the other people that have posted similar articles are right. There are similarities, resemblances, and a lot of comparisons. You want it to end, you need to get your act together. Because that's what it is. Right now there is a WCW TNA comparison, if not similarity, between the last few years of WCW and the recent few years past of TNA. So TNA, wake up. That's all I'm going to say, folks. You let me know what you think down below. Anybody wants a video response, Jeff Siegel, I'd love to hear from you, man. Tree of Woe, love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'll provide the link down to the article in the description box, and I'll talk to you all later. God bless, take care, your comments are welcome. I am out.